I don't know what she's masking.
Crazy to watch. I didn't know how they were gonna film that. I saw that in the script. I was like, LOL.
The clients that keep coming, they never stop the drama.
Well, some exes are definitely written off.
Timmy's finally opened up a nice little path for you to be with Gabrielle. The man that is still having a baby with a woman who's in love with another woman, and I'm the only one that knows about it? Well, no relationship is perfect.
How did you feel to see Emily and Gabrielle rekindle their romance this season and explore what their relationship could be?
Well, I think people have been waiting to like give a little time to it and see what would happen. I think it was fun this season to like be able to breathe in a choice. And not have it just be constantly bopping around for Emily. You know, she actually gets to make a choice and see the repercussions of that choice and which direction it goes in. And for at least the first 5 episodes, you see you see one side of what happens, and then the second drop. Next month you'll get to see more twists and turns. But it was fun to get to play around with these characters, and it's not all perfect all the time, and I think this season is the season for me of vulnerability and being able to finally lean into your choices and also feelings that are uncomfortable, and those feelings can be the highest of highs or the lowest of lows, but being okay with those existing at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that leans into this idea of the discussion around the masks we wear, especially when Emily kind of explains to Alfie and Gabrielle like how women often wear a mask in different situations.
Yeah.
I wondered, what do you think Emily is masking this season, and in what other ways has she been more vulnerable?
Ooh, I love that. I think well, she's being more vulnerable with realizing that she doesn't have all of her stuff together all the time. Like, it's possible to be a strong, independent, you know, work-driven, powerful, authentic person and at the same time be feeling feelings that make you feel sad and weak and vulnerable. And so I think that can be complicated sometimes to someone who doesn't think you can be both things at one time. And for Emily, I think she's finally becoming more vulnerable in embracing sadness, and leaning into asking for help from other people through that. And masking, I don't know what she's masking this season. I think she's really trying to unmask a lot. So I don't know what she's masking. That's a good question.
So this is kind of a question for both of you. So how did you feel about coming back to these characters and seeing the journey that they go on in season 4?
Gosh, I think it was a while because we had the strikes going on and things like that. So it was just when we got the final dates that came in and they were locked in and they wasn't moving. It was for me. It was great just to know I'll be back with the gang and get back to Paris and life and get back on set. But
yeah, this was a particular situation because also we had season 3 and 4 greenlit at the same time, so we knew there would be a season 4. So it was just about when. And I think that so and when you saw what the characters were going to be doing, we get the scripts like right before we film them, like they write as we go, so it's always like we don't know what's going to happen next.
No idea. Yeah, I've got this thing for reading the scripts back to front just so I can see the cliffhangers.
And see what how we got there,
and I'll read like the last 5 pages, then I'll go back to the beginning of the script.
That's smart. Okay.
Yeah, it's cheeky.
Incredible. Yeah, you just can't wait that long. I totally get that. Yeah. So Lucien, I mean, the agony of watching Alfie declare his feelings at the masquerade ball to the wrong person. How did it feel to come back to Alfie's heartbreak this season?
That was crazy to watch. I didn't know how they were gonna film that. I saw that in the script. I was like, LOL. I
was a little bit confused by it, and then I was like, oh, we're gonna do it like this.
Yeah, like the same outfit.
Yeah.
Like I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed the end of that.
You're all good. So how did it feel to come back to that heartbreak this season?
Gosh, it was eye-opening. No, I think honestly, for Alfie just going through this season, opening up his feelings and being vulnerable is been a lot of growth for him, I think.
I totally forgot about that back and forth. I was actually, because I usually I just watch the show as like a viewer, and I'm usually like on whatever Emily's side is on, but that was the first time I truly was like, what the actual F, like as Ashley. I was like, are you kidding? What's happening? Why is she in the carriage with him? Like Alfie's being what's happening? I just remember that, my God.
And like you say, it's such a vulnerable moment. Do you think he's missed his chance to tell Emily how he really feels, or do you think he will declare his feelings again?
I think that there's always a time in life where love might come back round. I don't think anything's ever written off. So.
Well, some exes are definitely written off, but I don't think Alfie's one.
I was gonna say.
No, I think there's an end to some, like
Yeah,
forever, and you like,
agreed.
delete the number and it's over. But in terms of Alfie, perhaps.
Lucas, Gabriel finally ends up with Emily. How did it feel to finally explore this relationship that's been teased throughout all 3 seasons?
Ends up is a big word.
For now.
They reconnected.
Yeah.
You know, it's a long season and there's so much can happen, but it felt good. It felt good to shoot scenes, romantic scenes with Lily again. It felt like being in season 1. It kind of brought me back to that innocent, you know, time where I discovered this amazing world. And yes, we had so much fun with Lily, playing with what Darren gave us this season. It was so rich and nuanced, and the confrontation we enjoyed very much, because we finally addressed some issues, and we kind of love fighting with Lily. We couldn't get enough. It was fun, you know. It was just we could really feel each other in those scenes. So it was a fun season, and I love from Gabriel's perspective. When I'm in his skin, I love Emily so much than just being in those intimate scenes, and you know, the ball, for example, and stuff like that are just I'm just vibrating with romance and passion and love, and it feels good. You know, I'm just living what I don't have in my private life through the prism of Gabriel's romantic dynamic.
So this season, the show obviously has its Me Too movement, and Sylvie is obviously at the center of this. How did you feel when you read the script and saw that Sylvie was such a pivotal part of this particular storyline?
Well, what I saw, because I saw that the series was about the consequences of her decision in the first 3 episodes, and it's really interesting to see how, you know, everything like it snowballs from there. But I didn't think she was pivotal. I thought she was just she's part of it's like a big wave, you know. This show is about so many different characters and storylines, and they're all intertwined and weave together, and it's really interesting how, because also it's Darren's fantasy, how they always respond to each other in a very awkward way, as if, you know, there's this magic of life when frequencies and things sound the same, have the same sound, you know. It's like I don't know if I'm very clear with this, but I'm trying to say something about yeah, I think we're all riding the same wave in a way, you know. All the women have this solitude problem at the center of their lives, trying to find the right companion, trying to, you know, but they're still never really happy with it, and there's a lot of stuff like that goes on.
Yeah, and I think she even says herself that she is like, without her they don't have a story, so kind of like unlighting this whole systemic cases of assault at GVMA. Was there a sense of like telling Sylvie's truth? Did it feel empowering to kind of share her story when men are trying to silence her and intimidate her?
Yeah, it was because she's from a generation where women didn't come out and talk as much as now, as the younger generation. So it was interesting to see how she had to cope with it for years and suppress it, so she could, you know, she doesn't feel she's a victim, so she could go on and work and do, you know. But then there's a point where she feels that maybe she has to talk, because for other women it's important to talk. Even though she didn't feel the need to talk for years, which is a very normal thing for that generation, you know. They just, which is also a nice way of saying I'm not a victim, you know. But,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And how did it feel to explore kind of Sylvia's vulnerable side this season?
Well, I've been exploring that for even last season, and I always like that, because she's a villain, but she's not really only, I mean, she's a villain because she has a story, because exactly. She has a wound, because, you know, and that's what I really like about the character. It's all, you did the potential for being like the potential of the villain, and also the potential of, you know, the wounded warrior, which is wonderful.
So Darren, let's start with you. There's a lot of intricate storylines this season, including this Me Too moment at JVMA. Could you talk a bit about how it was to explore those themes of sexual harassment in the fashion industry and balance that with other romantic storylines?
You know, that was a storyline that was sort of brought in an episode in the third season when Sylvie had lunch with the head of JVMA, and she referenced that past, and then it became, in the next season she realized it was something that was still present, and you know, she felt that she had to speak up, and she was asked to take a stand, and she wasn't sure at first, and she knew it was going to jeopardize a lot of her relationships and career, and it's something, it was a real, it is for her as a vulnerability she didn't want to have to confront, but then in the end she was very courageous, and she realized it's something that she had to do despite the costs it might you know, take on her life. And but I think it was something that was a natural progression, and it was a storyline that was sort of like, you know, conceived in season 3 to continue into season 4.
And I really feel that you feel that evolution, especially when it moves to like the aftermath as well. Was it important to kind of show that progression, so it wasn't just like an isolated event or just the heightened moment of the expose coming out?
Right, and also just sort of like the cost it might take to herself and her life, and that sometimes the past isn't over, you know, and I think that's something that she had to realize. It's like in so many ways she just wanted to like sweep it under the rug and pretend it wasn't something that was going to affect her, but when I think she realizes that it did have an effect on her, and also was presently possibly having an effect on women, other women, it's like she had to take a stand.
And Ashley, Mindy also has some challenges this season, having to have difficult conversations with Nico about this Me Too movement that's kind of happening within the show. Was there a sense of responsibility that came with that, with this new side of the character and the story as well?
Yeah, I mean, whenever there's a big topic like that, for me, I always approach it from what, like the personal relationship of the character and what their individual journey is, because I don't feel like I'm at the qualification to make a statement on the whole thing. But I do think for Mindy, especially the reason why it was really important for her and Nico, and it's probably what made their relationship so deep and close immediately, is that they do have this understanding of the world they come from, their background, and their relationships with their fathers. And so I believe that at some point she was also, it's a big challenge for her to not project her own life and her own relationship with her father and force that onto somebody that she loves and she cares about, but also really standing by her morals there as well.
That was a great answer. And what can you tease about part 2? And if there's another season, what do you hope is ahead, family?
Part 2, well, you know, we're shooting in a fall-winter season, so you're gonna get snow, you're gonna get Christmas, cozy vibes, and then you get Rome, you know, oppositely. All of this happens in 5 episodes. So it's gonna be a really fun drop, and a lot of things happen in Rome that I'm excited to show everybody. And I really hope we get to go to another season, so I hope people watch and love it. And I would love to explore more of Italy if we get to. And of course, more crazy work experiences, because the clients that keep coming, they never stop the drama. So I really enjoy that.